Hello everybody, this is the second part of the video. This will be for February 2nd. Here's my email if you need to get a hold of me, and there are some disturbing scenes coming up in this part of the video. Okay, real quickly, you're going to need this sheet out. The answers for the first part, you never even got to this one. I cut it off from the introduction you never saw. There are about 1,500 volcanoes on Earth. On that scientific expedition to Galeras, 9 people died. Earth can get about 12,000 degrees hot on the inside. And this one is subduction. Now, for this one, you're only going to have to write one thing down. I'm not worried about you not watching this video. It's really interesting. You're going to see people die. Okay? All right. Briefly, it's February 2nd is Groundhog's Day. Get this sheet out and wish me happy birthday. So everybody's saying happy birthday. And then I say, well, thanks, but it's not my birthday. But Fiscus, you just told us, no, you're supposed to wish me happy birthday. This was the day I was supposed to be born. I was supposed to be born February 2nd, 1967. But you ready for this? I was born a year premature. Like, what? That's not even possible. Yeah, I was born in 1966. That's a year early, right? I was born 5 weeks early. So I was born on December 30th, 1966. Which I was supposed to be born on Groundhog Day, but I was a little early. Okay. On this sheet, please put a dot below the N in winter. You're halfway through winter. That's worth celebrating. That's what Groundhog Day is. Halfway through winter. Okay. Put a big red dot there and tell yourself Feb 2, Groundhog Day. I'll move the camera up closer. Okay, we got to get this show on the road. Okay, so put that sheet away. Get ready for this. Here we go. I'm going to hit play. I got 3 remotes to use here.
It's like pulling the cord.
That's a volcano being viewed from the space shuttle.
The size of Mount Everest.
You're looking down on it from about 250 miles up.
A volcano need not explode to be deadly. Lava too thick to flow can ooze up slowly and form a teetering,
super dangerous.
rock.
You can see it's cracking. It's going to fall apart. And here it comes. Hot, poisonous, and fast.
Gas and ash called the Pyroclastic Flow.
It can go 200 miles an hour. Watch this one when it gets to the ocean.
1,000 degrees Fahrenheit and more than 100 miles an hour, it consumes nearly everything.
Look, it just keeps going. That's poisonous and about 1,500 degrees.
1902. The Caribbean town of St. Pierre prospers at the foot of a sleeping giant until May 8th, when Mount Pelée unleashes a pyroclastic flow. In 2 minutes, 30,000 people are incinerated.
Burned alive.
One survives. Though badly burned, this prisoner was somehow protected by the thick walls of his cell. Elsewhere, the devastation is eerie.
Let me tell you a story about that. The guy who survived, he was in a dungeon. He was a convicted murderer awaiting execution. The volcano killed everybody in the town except him. He was burned, but he was alive. And when the rescuers found him a week later, very, very thirsty, very, very hungry, they let him go, figuring he'd been punished enough. True story. The only person who survived that was the convicted murderer.
Pyroclastic flows are virtually unpredictable and relatively rare. Many volcanologists have seen them only in photographs. May 1991, southern Japan. Mount Unzen serves up an extravaganza, some 35 pyroclastic flows a day.
That's more than 1 per hour.
But the village lies too close for comfort. Evacuations are ordered.
You can't survive in that.
From a safe distance, villagers find the spectacle irresistible.
This is part of the Ring of Fire.
No less captivated, journalists and volcanologists from around the globe flock to the scene. Among them, Maurice and Katja Kraft. In the volcano world, these are superstars.
Here you have a pyroclastic flow, yeah. It don't occur all the time. When you have lava flow, then it will happen all the time. It's why this is so interesting, because you have very few.
After more than 2 decades of filming eruptions, the Krafts have a discriminating eye. Today, Unzen underwhelms.
He's going to make fun of the volcano.
This is one of the smallest pyroclastic flow I have seen. I hope to see bigger ones than this one, because this is very small, really, yes.
Hold that thought.
This is no idle bluster. Maurice and Katja Kraft have probably seen more eruptions, more volcanoes than anyone on Earth.
This is him. Actually, that's her. He's filming her.
The Krafts hail from France, but home is wherever the Earth breathes fire.
For me, an active volcano, especially volcanoes that are known very well, those are like friends. There is a sort of dialogue between the volcano and me. I don't know exactly why.
For me, the danger is not important. I am afraid when I go in a car. But on volcanoes, I forget everything. And there is no more danger for me.
For the Krafts, there has never been another calling.
He's the geeky kid.
I fell in love with volcanoes when I was 7 years old. I saw my first volcano with my father, Stromboli in Italy. And this was really a discovery for me, to see a mountain, a sort of cone, and at the top to have fire, to have explosion every minute, was fantastic. And I have seen this eruption from very near, and I was really fascinated. So I decided to become a geologist.
I fell in love without seeing active volcanoes. I have seen films and photos and was interested in geology, and so I decided to be volcanologist. And only 2 years later, I asked my parents to go to Italy to see really the volcano. And I was also impressed when I see for the first time what I wish to do.
We met, in fact, at the university. I was in geology and Katja
That's a
was
piece
in
of pumice.
chemistry. So I was crazy about volcanoes, she was crazy about volcanoes, and so we loved each other after. It's an after effect of loving volcanoes. When we went to Volcano in Italy, we were a group of friends. We were students at this time in geology, in geochemistry and so on. So we stayed at the foot of the volcano when we were making a lot of research, but with a very low amount of money. And I remember that we don't have so much clothes at this time, but those gases are so acid that our clothes were completely...
The gases are eating their pants off.
The gases. So
The
after
acid.
2 or 3 days, we were looking really like beggars.
From the start, the Krafts photographed their fieldwork. Soon, Films and photos became their bread and butter. Through the lens, they would share their passion for volcanoes with the entire world.
They were hard to scare. If you saw them running, you'd better be running too. Run! Oh.
Iceland, 1973. The Isle of Heimaey was abandoned in a single night. On this empty stage, the crabs stood spellbound.
It buries this town.
My work is different from other volcanologists because when I see an eruption, sometimes it's so nice that I just drop my instruments and look.
Yeah.
That is to say, I cannot only study the eruption. I want also to film volcanoes to show it to other people. So I am as much interested in aesthetic than in science.
As was often the case,
The
crabs
houses are
were the
buried.
only foreign filmmakers on the scene. Katja and Maurice had no children, no academic appointments, nothing to tie them down. One year, they circled the globe 8 times. Tanzania, 1988. They shot the first footage of lava flows at a unique volcano called Longai.
I think really to see Longai from near is something that is outside the Earth. I've never seen such an unusual volcano than this one. And what is very peculiar for this volcano is that those lava are black.
Look how thin and runny it is. That's very unusual. It's also low temperature.
And once you see those black lava flows going here and there in this crater, 24 hours after emission, those black lava became white.
Weird.
We were very surprised by the fluidity of this lava and with this low temperature because it's only 500 degrees Celsius, and to take the samples, the fluid lava with a spoon. And what was very exciting also, that in the night it was red, like other lava.
The crabs never denied the dark side of volcanoes.
Watch these rocks. If one of those hits you, you're done.
The face of human
That's
suffering,
not snow, that's ash.
devastation.
It's not good for you to
For
breathe
UNESCO,
either.
they began producing safety films on volcanic hazards shown around the world.
That's heavy volcanic ash. Bad for your lungs.
Footage of aftermath was impressive.
This is from Mount St. Helens in
Crabs
1980.
aimed to capture pyroclastic flows in action.
Those were living trees, the size of power
Alaska,
poles.
1986. A close encounter on the slopes of Augustine produced amazing footage and whet their appetite for more.
That one's still dangerous.
We have seen so much big eruptions that now we want to see bigger and bigger and bigger. And this don't happen so often. So sometimes we have to wait 1 year or even 2 years to see something really enormous. And more enormous it is, better it is for me.
The quest leads them to Mount Unzen in 1991. They set up camp.
Spoiler
inside
alert,
the evacuation
this is
zone,
the day they die.
indifferent to the possible danger.
He's going to laugh at the volcano.
I'm never afraid because I have seen so much eruptions in 23 years that even if I die tomorrow, I don't care.
Nope, how about today?
On June 3rd, Maurice, Katja, and a bevy of journalists moved to a valley about 2 miles from the summit. It's a fatal miscalculation.
It suckers them into getting too close.
Something triggers a pyroclastic flow about 10 times bigger than all that came before. Within moments, it overwhelms the valley.
You can't outrun that. They would have been cooked and suffocated. Now this camera is left in the middle of the road on a tripod and the person runs. Watch the truck go right by the camera. The crafts and a bunch of people are already dead farther up the mountain. Watch the pyroclastic flow.
By the time a TV camera in the village records this scene,
It's going to run out of momentum.
Katya and 41 others are dead.
It doesn't make it all the way down to the camera. Then the winds shift and it dies. But the people are already dead. I don't even know if they got their bodies back. They're up inside of that. Cooked and suffocated.
Surely no one loved volcanoes better than Maurice and Katya Kraft. Every time we marvel at their films, we are seeing the world through their eyes. And for a moment, it's as though they are with us again. November 13th, 1985. Colombian volcano Nevado del Ruiz erupts around 9 p.m.
You ready? You'll have one word of notes today. Here's the question coming up.
Part of its summit glacier melts. Water cascades down canyons, stripping them of soil, trees, boulders.
It was just a little tiny eruption, but it melted the glacier.
Mud flow is 130 feet deep. Just before midnight, nearly 30 miles from the volcano, it engulfs a city called Armero. 23,000 people are buried alive.
Man. That used to be a town. Look at how thick the mud is.
Earlier, scientists had surveyed the
That's a dead body.
and determined Armero was at risk. Somehow, their report was shelved. Yet a simple evacuation plan could have saved thousands. On the ruins of Armero, volcanologists vowed, never again. One year later, the U.S. Geological Survey helped create a unique program. 50 miles from Mount St. Helens, the Cascades Volcano Observatory is home base for the Volcano Crisis Assistance Team.
This is like Ghostbusters for volcanoes.
Portable monitoring equipment, a 5-man team can mobilize at a moment's notice.
If you've got a problem volcano, you call these guys and they'll show up.
Another event. Hey guys, I just got a request for...
A mission begins when a foreign nation asks for help in assessing a volcanic threat. Andy Lockhart has 10 years experience in rapid response.
If there is a typical mission, it would consist of getting the call on Friday afternoon, going to the books, finding out if it's a volcano that we don't know much about. If it's a full-blown response, we take an entire observatory. We take all of the sensors, all of the computers, and that takes some putting together.
They're headed to the Philippines on the
Lockhart and his
on the other
teammates
side of the
have taken
Pacific.
action at more than 15 volcanoes in 13 countries.
They're
The most
headed
memorable mission took them to the Philippines.
to number 11. That one.
April 2nd, 1991.
They live here.
55 miles
they fly to
northwest
here.
of Manila. Plumes of steam are spotted at the summit of Mount Pinatubo by tribesmen who have lived on its slopes for generations. They've never seen anything like this. Word reaches Ray Punambay, director of the Philippine Institute for Volcanology and Seismology in Manila. He has 4 seismographs installed near the volcano.
Look at all the earthquakes. That tells you the volcano's waking
They
up.
reported that they were recording over 400 volcanic quakes, and that's unusual. Right then and there, I said that something unusual is happening inside the volcano.
The reports aroused concern at Clark Air Base, just 15 miles from Pinatubo.
This is a great big military base the United States
At the
had.
request of the U.S. Air Force and the government of the Philippines, a team from the U.S. Geological Survey arrives at Clark on April 23rd.
I don't know how much of this base is left. The volcano really
Begin
trashed
briefing
it.
a crisis action team directed by Colonel Richard Anderay.
I think I was like most people. I didn't know a lot about volcanoes until the United States Geological Survey team came here. It was a total educational process for me. I had, when I thought of a volcano, I thought of a volcano like in Hawaii where the lava flows out at a nice leisurely pace and people take pictures of it, and it's a very pretty thing to watch.
A joint U.S.-Philippine science team sees a different picture from the air. Pinatubo has no written history of eruptions, but it's surrounded by huge deposits of ancient
Those hills are all ash. All of it.
Lockhart and his teammates see the threat in a whole new light.
I think it's just ash, man. If that's coming up out of the ground, we got a serious problem.
For 2 weeks, they install a monitoring network on ridges around the volcano. Lockhart outfits each station with a radio transmitter that sends data to a makeshift observatory on Clark.
They surround it with detectors.
Pinatubo's activity increases daily. The science team urges local authorities to consider evacuations.
It's a big responsibility in the sense that you're causing people to move out of their abode and transfer to evacuation centers, suffer there, and wait for something to happen. And if nothing happens, then our reputation is at stake. So we were very careful about that.
People don't want to leave, but you tell them they got to.
June 5th. Swarms of earthquakes prompt a level 3 alert. Eruption possible within 2 weeks. 20,000 Filipinos living within 6 miles of the summit are ordered to relocate to temporary shelters. But the Air Force stays put. Scientists brief the senior officer at Clark, General William Studer. They admit there is a chance the volcano may not erupt at all. June 7th. Pinatubo releases clouds of ash. The science team issues a level 4 alert. Eruption possible within 24 hours.
Man.
Cactus 30, how do you read 263.29?
Most ominous is the appearance of a plug of thick lava, the kind that generates pyroclastic flows. General Studer wants to see it for himself. Lockhart remembers his conversation with another scientist.
The general says, God, that's a lot of ash. And Howlett says, that's nothing. And he points out these big nimbrite sheets, these things that look like
All those hills are ash
stretching out 10 kilometers
from other eruptions.
Volcano says, see these big sheets out here? This is what this volcano does when it erupts. We wheel around in the helicopter and he says, there's your base down there. And you can see it very obviously at the leading edge of one of these sheets that came down that valley. And so we headed back to the base, and the general says to Jeff Grant, he says, do it tomorrow.
So now they evacuate this huge base.
Evacuation of Clark.
Thousands of people.
On June 10th, some 14,000 Americans leave for a Navy facility 25 miles away. A small security force and the science team stay behind.
Get ready.
After the base was evacuated on June 10th, you felt two ways about it. One, that it could happen anytime and the people were going to be safe. On the other hand, now that the base was evacuated, the clock was really starting to tick.
Because if nothing happens, they're going to look like idiots.
A century of volcanology is put to the
Would I be showing you this video if nothing happened?
From afar, an entire nation awaits the unknown. June 12th, 8:51 a.m. The wait is over.
Kaboom. Huge eruption. Look at it. Bigger than an atomic bomb blast. Look at that.
Pinatubo blows an ash column nearly 12 miles into the sky. Communities
12
50
miles
away
up.
are showered with ash and sand.
It hurts. That's why they have boxes on their heads.
Eruptions continue for 2 days. The evacuation radius is enlarged. More than 80,000 people leave their homes.
That wasn't the big eruption. There's a bigger one coming.
That is true in the extreme upper level.
Clark radar now shows a major typhoon headed straight for the Philippines.
I'm going to hit pause.
Exhausted from round the
All right. We'll have to talk about what happens because this video is already 27 minutes long. You already saw a big eruption, but that wasn't the biggest. And just as they're getting ready for that, a typhoon shows up, which is a hurricane. So they're going to have a major volcano eruption going off at the same time a typhoon. They're going to have killer mud flows. All right, that's 27 minutes.